real estate by doing this one thing. But before we get started, this is your first time watching and you haven't joined the only real estate group worth being a part of on Facebook, go do that right now, right? A lot of great content, a lot of great info being shared on there. And if you haven't subscribed to our iTunes page, go to iTunes, leave us a review, download some episodes on there. That way we are starting to pick up more and more reviews on there so that we can get bigger and better named guests, right? Also, we have a brand new announcement. Can't hear me? So we've got a brand new announcement. We're excited to be talking about this, that we have a new sponsor for this show.
That is, first off, let me say how silly that sounds to us. And I think this kind of sticks with the theme of us just telling people to go do the thing and it'll all work itself out and, you know, all that. If you would have told us that 2.5 years ago, as we sat and took tequila shots, sans Nick, right? Like, I know Nick never drinks with us, which is fine.
Yeah.
That we were somehow going to, like, at some point, so I'd be like, hey, that content's good enough. I'd like to attach my name to it. I'd have been like, hey, look, bro, I'm going to tell you right now, it's probably not a great idea.
we don't know what path we're going down with this thing. It's so true, dude.
It's amazing.
But look, it does show you that, you know, with this consistency, with us learning how to get better, look, there's even still slip-ups. Look at the intro, right?
Yeah.
Right? This intro where I was like, all right, fumbling around.
We're not batting 1,000.
Almost done the intro over 100 times.
If anybody's expecting perfection from this setup, then look, you just have not tuned in enough.
Yeah, you haven't watched this show enough.
So look,
You think it's going to be like that?
The sponsor that we have, this is a good friend of ours, right? Yeah. We all use this person in our business.
Yes. Yep.
Right? And we are now, this studio is now being changed. The name of the studio is being changed, right?
It is. It has officially been changed.
So amazing.
To the Sphere Rocket VA Studio. It's got a ring to it. And here's what I love about this, because you're right. We've actually had opportunities to have other sponsors on this show in the past that we've turned down. Because one of the things that we kind of just like doing the show because it's like our Wednesday thing and we like drinking White Claws and talking about real estate. So we would do the show even if we had to pay to do it because it's just fun for us.
Which we did for a while.
So we kind of just stuck to this from the beginning, the ideology that we were only ever going to bring on sponsors that we actually used ourselves, because otherwise the show would just kind of become phony. So we actually utilize this business. Every one of us utilizes this business. Sphere Rocket VA has been a credible company. They are kick-ass at what they do. If you're looking for virtual support and virtual assistance for your business, they're like, look no further. Justin Nelson and what they're doing at Sphere Rocket VA is super clutch.
Look, I have 2 VAs from Sphere Rocket.
Yeah. Right?
And we are in the process that we'll be hiring 2 to 3 more here probably by the end of Q2.
Yeah.
And the whole goal, my goal, where I envision it, one, I want to compete with Justin a little bit. He made some post today. I think he's going to have like 20 or 15 or 20 VAs that are supporting him.
Really? Just him?
Just him. I'm like, what are they all going to do? Right? I mean, you know, what really intrigued me about Justin was that, you know, he's 24, 25 years old.
He's a young dude.
He's young, right? That these VAs, these virtual assistants, was even managing his personal life. They were ordering groceries.
Yeah, he takes a picture of his fridge.
Yep.
And then just like sends it to the VA and they order his groceries.
So they would order groceries. They were managing his bills.
People need to understand that too. There's so many ways to utilize this because I have my personal assistant that does a lot of the admin side of stuff as a virtual assistant, and you can literally send, screenshots of stuff you just don't want. I was doing something earlier. I needed to review an inspection report. And I need to schedule showings, right?
Yeah.
Like, well, the inspection report moves to the top of the list, but the showings can be scheduled at the same time. I got a list of all the homes I need. I know what times they need to be scheduled.
Yeah.
Here you go, dude. Go schedule these for me real quick.
So you can go do the
absolutely.
Yeah, 100%, dude. 100%.
So today's guest that we have on is his name is Nate Fisher, right? Nate you're from Dallas, right?
Yep.
So from Dallas, got into real estate at the ripe old age of
19.
20 years old, right? And so, you know, look, in our title, we said in his first 12 months of real estate, a little bit of an exaggeration. He fumbled his way through for how long?
Let's call it 6 months.
6 months, right? 6 months or less. So he's fumbling his way through first 6 months, not having a lot of success and a lot of traction. And so, you know, Nate was talking to us that there's this one thing that he did that propelled him to do $10 million in sales over the next 12 months. Right, and this one thing's super easy, by the way. There's no secret. It's not a magic pill, right? It is shortcutting that success. But do it before we go into that part. Break down. You're 19, 20 years old. You're getting into real estate. Why did you get into real estate first off?
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
Yep. I mean, I think the easiest way to explain it is that, kind of going through college, didn't know what I wanted to do. Knew some people doing real estate, said I should get into it, and took that plunge and figured out that it was not as easy as what I thought. But
You don't say.
Yep, and kept on doing it, and ended up being all right for me. So it ended up being pretty good. So
Nice.
I can't complain.
So you get into real estate, 20 years old, and walk us through your first 6 months, right? I mean, while you're going through this, and by the way, if you're watching this live, tag some agents in there, whether you're brand new, whether you're kind of struggling right now. There's going to be a lot of great information in this. If you go back and watch our episode, I think it's what episode was Joanna? Was it 90?
92 or something
92.
like that.
Yeah.
So episode 92, I believe it is, with Joanna, where she did 18 deals, I believe, in her first 90 days. I believe.
A couple months. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Right. So you want to compare what these two agents are doing, right? Because it's something special. But again, there's a lot of gold underneath it if you really listen to what they're saying. So walk us through your first 6 months.
The first 6 months were a little bit difficult. I wasn't on a team yet. I was a solo agent. Didn't really know where to start. It's one of those things that brokerages promise you the moon and don't always deliver.
Sure.
And so I was I was 20. I didn't know. I'd never bought a house. Never knew what was going on. Didn't even know the process. Kind of tripped into some deals that I probably didn't have any business closing. And but faked it till I made it. And ended up working out a little bit. So really couldn't complain there. Ended up being put in contact with Nick, and the rest ended up working out.
But with that, before we fast forward, so your first 6 months, right? You're going through. Did you interview any different brokerages?
I did. I interviewed about 3 or 4.
I didn't even do that.
No,
Yeah.
me neither.
No, I
what
did
what
not.
were you looking for in a brokerage when you interviewed?
The number one thing was training. That was
Sure.
super important to me. I wanted to make sure I was getting with people that could help me excel my goal, my vision.
Yeah.
And I whenever I interviewed with Nick, the number one thing I told him is I want to be the number one agent in the DFW. And while that's a super high goal, that was something that I am still dead set on it and achieving. And some people might chuckle whenever they hear that, but it's something that
Fuck
I'm
those people.
Exactly.
Somebody's gotta be number one,
What are you
dude.
talking about?
Yeah.
You know who doesn't give a shit about the people that are laughing? The number one agent, DFW.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, and the number 2 agent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
number
Probably
probably
the
top 5
30,
don't
yeah,
really
probably
care.
something like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
right. So you interviewed 3 brokerages, right? And the brokerage that you chose, let's walk us through that path, right? So because if you're a brand new agent, or maybe you just now got into the business and you're struggling to get that traction, right? There's people out there that want to blame the brokerage, right? They want to say, well, it's brokerage fault that I'm not where I need to be. I'm not making sales. I'm not getting clients because they promise the best training out there, and I don't think it is because I don't have any closings. So you chose what without naming the brokerage, why did you choose that brokerage in the beginning?
Honestly, it was just because I chose the team over the brokerage, to be completely honest. It was the training, it was the mentorship,
Smart
it was
man.
the whenever you surround yourself around great people, you're able to take a step forward. And I'll dive a little bit deeper into that, but honestly, it was the team. And it was one of those things that was what was super important to me. Training's one of those things that I talked to numerous people, and they said, look, training's something that should be ultra important to you, because if you're not emphasizing that, you're going to feel it inside your business.
Right.
And I felt that within this first 6 months. Didn't necessarily see what I was looking for, didn't get what I was necessarily looking for, and I could feel it within the business, what I was looking for in terms of my financial goals, my production goals, and I felt it. So.
And I know we'll dive into this a little bit, but I think it's important for newer agents or even agents who are struggling to hear what he didn't say more than what he did say. You didn't hear him say he was concerned about lead sources or where they were coming from. You didn't hear him say he was concerned about splits. Not those things aren't important, but the reality is when you start doing a certain level of production, those things become dramatically less important. And I think one of the things that sounds like you did, and that I know Joanna did just from working around her, is you guys were unconcerned about the outcome. You just understood kind of what you were trying to accomplish. and you had a singular focus on that. Was that true for you as well?
I mean, if I think this is the easiest way to explain it. I'd rather be doing 10 million on a team than doing 1 million myself.
Bro, that's exactly it.
Most agents don't even do that on
We
their
can,
own.
yeah, we can cut that up and chop it up and be able to use that.
Right.
Put it on a
Just that one sound.
yeah,
direct
that
quote.
one soundbite right there. But all right. So your first 6 months, you joined the brokerage after interviewing 3 of them. Right.
Yep.
You interviewed 3. I mean, that probably was a painful process.
Tedious.
So out of those 3 brokerages, the one that you did, because you kind of jumped ahead a little bit. So out of those 3 brokerages in the very beginning, what was the reason why you chose that beginning brokerage? Right.
The beginning brokerage was just the support system. I like to learn from other people. I like to learn from their mistakes. It makes the makes the mistakes that you make a little bit less painful.
Sure.
You get to learn from other people. You get to see it. You get to be within the action. You're almost in the front lines, but you're not taking the bullets, right?
Yep.
And so that was a fun process for me. I was able to see what other agents were going through. And that was important to me. The training was the number one emphasis for me. If I was going to be that number one agent in the DFW, I wanted to see what other agents were going through. I wanted to see their problems. I wanted to see their forefront issues that they were facing on a daily basis. And that was something that I was able to see, firsthand. Joining the team, joining the brokerage, things like that.
So when you joined that first brokerage, it wasn't the gold jacket that sold you?
No.
Without naming brokerages.
Without
Not
naming
that.
brokerages.
Without naming brokerages, right?
We
So,
like that.
Not at
so
all.
you weren't being sold because a lot of brokerages and a lot of teams sell on leads, right? If I look at today with the recruiting efforts, the number one thing I say is free leads. We got them over here. Free leads.
Yeah, it's a dumb way to recruit, but it's true.
Yeah. Right. So when you were interviewing, that wasn't your on your mind, was it?
No, because here's something that I always keep in mind. Especially whenever you're in sales. I mean, people are going to sell you the moon and under deliver. I wanted to talk to the agents. I wanted to see, hey, what are you facing? Let's peel off the top layer, and let's see what's underneath. I wanted to know the nitty and gritty. I wanted to know what was really going on. So I can make the best decision. Because here's the thing: I mean, people can promise you the moon and under deliver. I had that happen with the first, brokerage I was with, and it was disappointing, right? So I was going to make sure I prevented that from happening again.
Jacket didn't fit.
Well, and I think the thing about that too is there's in defense of that, there's a natural process of you don't even know what you're supposed to be asking in the first place, right? So when you're going to interview a brokerage, and I think maybe what you're touching on a little bit, and the way to prevent this is just don't get married to that situation. If you realize in the first 90 to 120 days you made the wrong decision, eject.
Exactly.
Take what you learned and go figure it out. Was that kind of what your experience was too?
I wish somebody would have told me exactly what you just said. I wish I would have known that, first 90 days, because a lot of people feel like, oh man, I made this commitment. A lot of people don't even know what to ask. In the first 90 days, they're just so new that it's like, somebody tells them something like, hey, this is gold. This is what it's supposed to be. And 90% of the time, that's not what it doesn't even match.
Yeah.
And so I wish I had somebody that told me what you just told me. So.
But the problem is that in the brokerage business, and we're going to get to that one thing that you did to catapult your success, that in the brokerage business, they're in the wooing business, right? We're over here, and the brokerages now are trying to get anybody and everybody with a pulse, even when they say they're not. Let's be real, because it's a numbers game for them. Right, so it's not a true interview, right? They're coming in here trying to learn what you want. They're like, no, we got it, we got that, and then oh, we got a cotton candy maker over here. You like cotton candy? No, you don't. Oh, we got White Claws over here. You like White Claws?
Wait. What brokerage
Is
is
that
this?
all we need to do?
Yeah.
What brokerage is this?
Yeah, right. So when you made that decision, right? What was that one thing? So we can get into that process, and then let's go into the evolution of you changing, you hitting that eject button, and deciding that it was time to leave your first brokerage, and then going on to your path.
Honestly, it's a system of processes. I was reading something today on Facebook. It's this business is something that the best copycatter wins. I wanted to see the system of processes. I wanted to have a duplicatable system to where I could almost copy and duplicate, right?
Yep.
That it wasn't rocket science. I didn't have to go and recreate the wheel. I wanted to be able to have something that I could go and follow and really put myself in the best position. I didn't want to have it be rocket science. I didn't want to have to be elaborate. I wanted to be able to say, hey, this is what you need to do to have success. And that's really why, that's really what I did.
One of the things that I think I've told people when we've recruited in the past, and a way for them to view joining a team, because again, we understand we all run teams. We don't want it to be like a sales pitch for a team, but the reality is you don't lose your entrepreneurial business side of your business, right? All Brian and I offer, all Nick offers, all a good team leader offers is infrastructure, coaching, marketing, and mentorship for you to grow your business. That business at some level is going to cost you X amount of dollars to do anyways,
regardless,
right? Nobody's building a business for free. So I actually like sitting next to Nick because he's obviously a good Southern boy. He's got tons of little things. But like that's exactly what he was talking about. Like he wants to be on the front line, but doesn't want to take the bullets. Why in the world, if you've ever tried to build your own team and do it from the ground up, it's a freaking nightmare. The stress and anxiety that comes along with that. Why not be on the front line, get all the benefits of it, and have somebody else assume the responsibility and the risk on the back end, and you're going to pay probably the same amount you would to run your own business anyways, if you are honest about profitabilities of a real estate business.
For sure. It's the same. I mean, it goes back to the brokerage conversation too, right? Like you join a broker for a certain value proposition, right? That's why you interview 2 or 3 brokers or whatever. Like if you didn't find value in your broker, you leave, or if you didn't find value in being with any broker, you would just go like non-MLS for a couple of years, become your own broker, and then do it on your own. The reason you don't do this is because it's a value proposition. It's the same with the team, right? Like again, that's why I kind of like the leads conversation that we were having before, because the reality is leads are not that hard to generate. If your issue,
you got $1, you can generate it.
Exactly, right? It's just not that difficult, right? With a value proposition for a good team is infrastructure support. I think what we also left out is accountability too. One of the coolest things that Nick has been able to accomplish, and that we're starting to be able to accomplish too, is create a culture of accountability in a way that really fuels people. It's just cool to be part of a family where everybody's pushing one another. That's some of those intangible things when you talk about, the things that you can't quite quantify. That accountability and what it does to every individual person's business is one of the things that's tough to quantify, but man, does it exist.
And the drive from being around other people. You said when we walked in, right? Very specific agent. Like, I want to do more than that person, right?
Yeah.
I want to be number one here. I want to be number one there, right? Like, when you're in an office and the loudest noise is the freaking air coming out of the air conditioner, there's no drive.
No.
Right? There's no drive to do shit when you're in an office like that.
So let's look at it. By the way, the number one thing that Nate did to set him on that success path and journey was joining a team.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
You didn't say it, Nate. I was leading you to it.
Yeah.
And you answered it the way, in the systems and processes. So as you evolved from that first brokerage into now accepting an idea and starting to interview for teams, because I want to go down that path real quick before you go into how you did the 10 million in those first 12 months. How did you overcome that ego, or how did you overcome that mindset of that I'm giving up half of my commission, I'm giving up this, I'm giving up that, I'm not making as much, right?
Taking
Because
your
those
name
are
off the door.
Yeah, I'm not my name's not on the sign anymore. It's not my branding. Etc. How did you mentally process that, and how did you accept it?
So whenever I first was making this decision, right, joining the team, it was I have a huge ego. I'm gonna be the first to admit it, right? And I was talking to an agent over in Tennessee, and something that she told me was, hey, joining a team is like having, it's your first year is gonna be like having 5 years as an independent agent, which was something that rung super loud inside my ears, right? It's you get to learn all of that experience, all within a year. It's like five years as being an independent agent. That was huge. And I was making that decision. It was something that I had to let my ego go, because it was one of those things. It's great if I'm producing $1 million as a solo agent, and let's say I'm making X amount, but let's say I can make 5 times that amount being on a team. I'd be stupid not to make that jump.
I mean, that's just what's cool about where both of our businesses are at now, where it's like I could just tell you straight up, like, unless you're in the top 1% of agents nationwide, I could just point to 3 different people on our team right now and be like, they make exponentially more money than you. We have agents that are in the top 1/10 of 1% with our splits, with everything. So like that conversation is just so pure.
Well, and here's what I would say is something that I joined the team for maybe a month, and something that I heard Nick said that echoed super loud with me is that, hey, is your ego bigger than your wallet, right?
That
some
sounds like
people
a
that
Nick thing to say. I love it.
Yep. something that I see so often, and it just drives me nuts, is that these agents, they their ego is so big that they're willing to sacrifice dollars. I'm going to be the first to say that's not me. I value money over my ego.
It's a real thing, man. We faced it when we joined forces and started our own business together, taking our names off the door, taking all that stuff. Like, that is a emotional leap that some people are a little bit too shallow to take, man.
Yep.
And it comes back to bite them.
Yep. And here's what I'll say is that was the number one thing for me, is it's like, I could be producing X amount of myself, but if I can do 5 times that on a team, I mean, I'd be silly not to take it. Not only that, but I get to gain experience. I get to gain knowledge on how to show my value as an agent, especially in this market. Whenever you've got, external things which, are posing threats. We'll phrase it as that. I'd be silly not to take that opportunity whenever I'm positioning myself for the future. You're taking opportunities to to set yourself up for the future, and people don't realize that. They look so short term that they just say, hey, my ego's so big that I'm not willing to join a team, because my name's not on the front of the door. That doesn't matter. If you're making 5 times the amount that you would make as a solo agent, why does it matter?
Well, and just as a newer agent too, it's not like people are walking around being like, hey, where's that Nate Fisher guy that I heard a lot about, right? Like, your brand doesn't have a lot to begin with until you've established it, and that takes years. I think the other thing that you hit on too is, like, agents don't really take the time to do any real evaluation on what stockpiling business at the beginning of your business can do for year 2 and 3, right? If I can only close 7 deals as an individual agent by myself, but I can close 25 deals on a team, I now have 25 bricks on my foundation to call for referrals, to do all those other things, as opposed to 7. So you're really 3.5 times ahead of me on your ability to grow your business.
And to quantify, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you out. To qualify that a little bit, to give you examples of that. Like, well, people who are not on a team or not on a high functioning team, like the two that run the show, maybe you don't understand, is like, we're building the business around our team, around our producers. And what I mean by that is, like, as your business scales up, you don't have any less problems. You just have different problems, right? As far as getting to the next level. It's one of the great things about being a producer on a team. Is my job as a leader now is I spend all day just responding to our needs and building out more infrastructure. Meaning, like, when Kelderman was getting too busy with all of his just shit business and actually selling houses, right? He didn't go, hey, what do I need to do to do? Like, he came to me and said, I don't have enough time to do what I need to do anymore. Fix it. And I said, okay. And I went out and found another person, interviewed them, trained them, got them ready to go, and now Matt utilizes that person, right? Well, things like, our marketing strategies. Our top 20% especially comes to me and they go, we need this, right? Yep. They control the business. It's not like I'm sitting here in some super villain chair with a cat just going all day, like, figuring out. Like, my job is to respond to the people.
Gargamel.
Right? Yeah. My job is to respond to what our needs are, and those needs come from our producers, our agents on the team. So if you feel like you're giving up control by joining a team, understand, if you join the right team, you're taking more control. Yeah. You're just leveraging the things that need to be done to somebody whose job is just solely to go do them. That's where you get your time back.
Well, and I love that point that you just made, right? Because if you join the right team, you're going to have leverage. And that's where you come into play and you leverage that support out. I'll tell you, obviously the team I'm on, I leverage out that support. So I'm doing the things that I need to do to make money-making activities.
Productive activities,
Yep. And that's, I'm not wasting time on things that aren't making me money. And that's crucial, right? Because I'm a huge what's making me money person. I'm a huge, what am I spending my time on? Time is valuable. And if I'm spending my money on time, on things that aren't making me money, quite frankly, it pisses me off, right?
Sure.
And so that's things that I can leverage out. We've got a great support system, which I love. And that's, if you join the right team, those are things that you have in place, right? And that's something that I love, and those are things that if you join the right team, that they already have set in place for you to go ahead and take advantage of.
So let me ask you, while you're interviewing that team, right? Obviously, your lead generation structure needs to fit your style with that team style, right? There are some teams out there that are going to be more heavily involved in their sphere, right? That are maybe not cold prospecting based business. And so if you don't have a heavy sphere yet, you're probably not going to be the right culture fit and the right team member fit for that organization, right? So when you were interviewing us, if you were interviewing others at the time, What were you looking for to make sure that it was the right fit for you?
Honestly, once again, it wasn't about the leads. It was more about the systems. It was, hey, how are you going to continue to drum up future business? How are you going to put yourself in a position to get these referral opportunities? It's one of those things. I think the best way to put it is, you walk into an appointment and let's say you're brand new. You don't have a lot of confidence with what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're a newbie, and people can see through all through the BS, To whereas if you're an agent, you're walking in, you're confident in what you're saying. You people can see that confidence and they say, hey, I respect that,
Yep.
and whether or not you agree with that or not, it's true, and that's something that whenever I was interviewing these brokerages and especially the team, whenever you're able to see these other agents talking about it, you're able to see these, you're having team meetings, let's say every week, things like that. You're able to build up that confidence. You know what you're talking about. It's not like, oh man, am I guessing, wishing on what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's hey, I know what I'm saying is right. I know what I'm saying is true because I'm getting this training, I'm getting these system and processes, and I know what I'm saying is right.
Yep.
Now it's all a matter of, hey, are you going to sign the sheet of paper or not?
Yeah.
Are you going to work with me or not?
Yep.
And that's the biggest thing for me, and that's what I would say is whenever I was interviewing these brokerages, these teams, is, hey, are these system and processes what I'm looking for, and are these effective? Are these going to help me gain more business? And in the end, it did.
That's just such a that translates to kind of every style of agent, I think, too. Because I will say this first, and this I give very few hot sports opinions on this show because I want people to watch, and I don't like to be too polarizing. If you are an individual agent out there right now in this current environment, understand that you are up against a lot. Your job might not exist in 5 years. Teams are taking over. They provide better service, more efficient service, have more resources. The way of the individual agent is going the way of the individual stockbroker. It's just inevitable. It happens in every business. But even if you are someone like a heavily sphere agent, things like that, we just brought on. That's what's so important about interviewing the right teams and finding the right fit. We just brought on a really great producer who's very heavily sphere based, and we had a discussion about her farm area. She has farmed an area for a very long time, and she's like, I don't, that's part of my thing is my branding and my farming. I said, look, here's the deal. This is what I do at a very high level, and I don't claim to be able to do what you do at a high level, so my job is different than yours. Let me do my job, you do yours. Show me that you're already making a return on investment on your farm. We will take over that expense because it's a good return on investment, and I will make it better, right? So the stuff you're sending to your farm right now, give me samples of it. Let me see it. I looked at him and said, okay, that's fantastic. We'll definitely take over this expense because you've shown me that there's going to be a return on it. Also, let me show how I'm going to improve it. Here's 5 different things we can do to these mailers right now to improve them, right? And now she's going to get we're going to get more business in there. She's going to get a better return. We're going to get a good return. So even if you've already got some things that you don't want to like give away control of necessarily, connect with the right leaders and the right team. You probably can do things at a higher level if you leverage them to other people. Even if you're already running a really good individual business where you're afraid to kind of take your name off some stuff, have some conversations, because I guarantee you're probably not doing things. If your job as an agent and you're killing it, there's probably somebody who wouldn't kill it as an agent, but they're probably way better at the marketing side of things or whatever it is.
The hive mind mentality is one of the biggest intangibles about joining a team that I don't know how to quantify, and I never will.
Sure.
But if you can keep a deal together because you were able to go to a person who had a solution for you and you just put $12,000, $15,000 in your pocket, is that not worth an entire year of doing it on your own? Like, I mean, it just
is true,
but
man.
I can't point to the spot where that happened for somebody, right?
Well, in today's marketplace, especially, let's look at it. If you're an individual agent in today's marketplace, and look, we don't know how long, how much time is left in this sand, because let's be honest, I don't want it to last that much longer.
It can't, dude.
With low inventory, you're having to run, you're exhausted, your clients are exhausted, they're frustrated. But if you're an individual, you're having to shoulder all of that frustration, all of those emotions. You have to run out and show those houses, right? And you still need to figure out how to lead generate, and you need to figure out how to market, and you need to figure out how to follow up and write the deals. Like,
I would just say, as an individual agent, if you're doing all those things, I don't care what level you're doing it at, how happy you are doing it in your business, whatever excuse you give me, I am 100% positive you are not as efficient as a human being as you could possibly be.
True.
You're lying if you say you're happy doing
you're
all
not
that
happy.
stuff.
Here's the thing: there's going to be exceptions to the rule. I know some very highly efficient agents making a lot of money as an individual, but their personal lives are non-existent, right? Their personal lives is the business.
Yeah.
And if you go look at it, they're not happy in general overall, right? So, joining a team, one can be the highway to success.
Yeah.
Right? And if there's enough runway for you to spread your wings out and grow within that team, you may never have to leave.
Yeah, it could also just be the highway to freedom too, right? We have a couple of agents on our team that probably only make a little bit more money than they would on their own, but they just have to do so much less. So it's so much better.
I feel like with that being said, you also have to keep in mind that it's not just like you can't just join a team and just have like instant success. You can't just not do anything and have that success. If you were to join Matt, Brian, and Nick, it's not like all of a sudden, just because you join the team, you're going to get $100,000. That's not how it works. It's not like they're going to hold your hand and walk you through the path to success. I mean, you still got to put in the work. You still got to put in the time.
And we still have turnover because of that.
Exactly.
There are people that have that ideology for sure. We don't make any bones about how hard you're still going to have to work.
It's that victim mindset mentality. It's
Yeah.
the same reason why as we started out this show saying those are the victim mindset mentality are the ones that they're broker hoppers or team hoppers. We've all seen the team hoppers.
Dude, we know a bunch of people that I respect, but I'm like, dude, your business is going to be handcuffed by your inability to admit that you are not as good at this as you think you are, and you need more help than you're willing to admit that we've ever talked about.
So
right?
Nate, in your first 12 months, right, you did just a hair. You missed it by that much of hitting $100,000.
Painful.
Right?
Yeah.
And so
What a douchebag.
I do that to help motivate. Right? That's a motivation tool right there. He will definitely break that figure this year and maybe even halfway through the year, which is going to be amazing. But walk us through those first 12 months, right? What did you do? You're 21 years old.
Yep.
Right? So it's not like your sphere, right? Your friends are probably buying houses.
Nope.
Right? So you're having to go through that lead generation process. You're having to then get acclimated to a team. You're having to learn, and execute. So what's been that other than joining that team? What has been that other success driver for you?
I would say the number one success is putting in the hard work. I mean, that's what a lot of people forget is that even if you join a team, it doesn't mean that you have to stop working. I
think that's one of those things where it's like you get so much leverage that you almost take your foot off the gas.
Exactly. And people forget that if you have leverage, and that's great, that's phenomenal. And I don't want to undermine that. But with that being said, you still have to keep your foot fully on the gas to still have success. And I'll tell you, so far this year, that's something that I've done. I've kept my foot on the gas, and I've seen the leverage continue to play out. And it's something I've looked down and I've gone, what the hell? How am I this far? It's already March, and I've done how much? And that's credit to the team. That's not credit to necessarily me.
No, that's credit to you. That's you.
Exactly.
You're executing the playbook, right?
Yeah.
The team's job is designed to, they're the head coach.
Yeah, bro, the offensive coordinator could draw it up, but if you still got fucking David Carr back there, it ain't gonna work.
Right.
So, and with that being said, once again, what I would say is that it's just one of those things that it's if you continue to play it out, if you continue to do what you need to do, you put in the hard work, you do the system of processes. Here's the thing: people think that you've got to recreate the wheel even once you join a team, and you're silly for thinking that. There's a reason why people have been successful doing what they're doing. And it's not because you got to go and do something crazy. They've got a system set up for you. Just do that system and you'll be successful. It's very, very simple.
I would tell you, just to pull back the curtain, that's one of the things that Nick and I deal with on our side, bro, is people get a little steam and they start to try and get on the other side of the fence. Like, can we sponsor this stupid fair?
Bro, I've done it.
No.
I've done it as an agent on this team where I've just leaned into the leverage overly far, and I've told the story before about getting a call from a seller who had their home on the market, and I'm like, yeah, we can list that for you, and they're like, no, we're like a current client of yours
on the market.
And I just had to rein myself back in because I had leaned so hard into leverage. I was like, I forgot about a whole damn house.
I love that story.
It's so ridiculous, right?
So look, if you're listening to this, right? Because there's times when I've listened to podcasts or I've been at real estate conventions and I'm hearing people speak and share, and I'm like, man, I'm never gonna how do I get to that point, right? Have you you've sat in there and you're like,
oh yeah,
bro, I sat with
Yeah.
holy shit, how do I get to that? There's no way I'm ever going to get to that, right? If you're thinking that right now, right? One, that's a limiting belief. As much as I hate to use that cliche wording, but it's taking that upfront action and treating this like this is a business. I will say that Nate is in there. If I'm sending a lead, if I'm checking in and doing quality control checks, Nate's there on top of it and treating this like this is his business, right? He's not an employee, right? That's number one.
That is 100% true. And the reality is, the thing about the way you feel is the way I feel about cliches, like limiting beliefs and stuff like that. I've realized this recently. The only reason that we hate cliches is because they're so overplayed, and they're only overplayed because no one follows through on them. The reality is, people that actually realize their limiting beliefs and do something to get through them don't care if it's a cliche. It's only cliche because 99% of the people that talk about limiting beliefs are still limited by those beliefs.
Well, and here's the thing is, I think, and Nate's speaking to this a little bit, but living out somebody else's cliche is the most surefire way to actually take it and put it as truth in your own thing.
Yes.
What Nick's talking about is having that conversation with somebody that you didn't think it was attainable. Like, I had that conversation with Nick in February of 2016 in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Right? Like, as he's telling me about his business, I'm still an individual agent, not even at KW at the time. Nick was still at KW at the time. And like looking back at that now, I mean, that 5-year anniversary just rolled by, right?
Yeah.
And thinking of, like, allow this business to have time to actually show you that what we're saying is true.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the biggest thing for people like me specifically. You guys are all, and I'm gathering Nate's more similar to you guys than he is to me, right? But like I think that's the one thing that some of these high I's miss, is they get really emotionally caught up in this. And enjoy the process of proving yourself wrong, because then it becomes so hardcore true that you can't ever deny it, and it's easier to move towards it once you realize it in that capacity too.
100%. I think it's high eyes, and I also think that it is people that had some form of success in another industry. And the reason I say that is because the similarity between all of us is that we never did anything else for a living. And what I mean by that is, like, Nate makes $100,000 as a 21-year-old, right? Name anywhere else in any corporate industry where that shit just happens. No, you start at 30 grand, then after 4 years you move to 50 grand, then after 10 years you move to 100, or whatever it is, right? It ain't overnight. And the reason I think that that's important is because Nick used to deliver pizzas, we bartended, and I don't know what he did, but he was 20 when he got his license, so nothing, right? You don't come into this business with those expectations. You're just happy to continue to work and know that good things are going to happen. I think that where some agents that this might be a second career for them, or they at least did something else at a decent enough level, tend to struggle is, like, you're starting over, but your trajectory can also be so fast, but you've got to give it some time to see it through. Like, dude, if I told you that going into the corporate world you'd make 200 grand in 5 years, you'd be like, badass. If I told you in real estate you'd make 30 and then maybe 31, or what, like, you might fuck around for a couple of years and all of a sudden you'll figure it out and skyrocket. Like, a lot of people can't hang through that first initial period, and that's where I think people that have come from the corporate world are kind of jaded.
I think, to just follow on what you're saying, I think a lot of agents that join a team expect that there's just some magic sauce and all of a sudden they're supposed to be making 6 figures. And that's just not the case, you know. You still got to put in the hard work. You still got to keep on doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be following the system and processes. But if you do those things, obviously the sky's the limit, you know. And that's what I think that is important to remember, is that, you know, like you're saying, I mean, there's no reason why nobody – it's not – and I tell people this all the time. It's not that I'm necessarily overwhelmingly good at what I do. You know, obviously I'd love to believe that. But at the same time, I'm following what I'm told to be, you know, told to do essentially. And I'm following the scripts, I'm following the playbook, I'm following things like that, you know. I'm following out the game plan is maybe the best way to explain it. There's no reason why anybody can't follow what I did and have the same amount of success.
I'm a challenge to thinking, though, because this is where I think agents need to take a step back and look at themselves a little bit. Is you're going to talk about, like, you're going to self-admit that you're not the best at what you do. What is it that you do?
I just work hard.
So there you go, right? When agents go, this is where agents become a little bitter sometimes because their business doesn't reflect their skill. And they look around at other agents, they're like, that agent doesn't know half of what I know. I'm such a better representative of my clients. I know everything inside and out. That's not really what you do, though. That is, you should be able to do that because you freaking went to real estate school, right? what you do is lead generate. And if you don't define yourself by that, it doesn't fucking matter what else you do. So when you say things like that, that's why I say I challenge you. Like, you might not be the best at what you. I think you're probably one of the best at what you do. Because that's why you're successful. But what you do is actually fucking work hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it's the work hard part, but it's also the grit.
Sure.
Right? Because you could work hard and get your teeth kicked in and then just give up.
Yeah.
Right?
Most people do.
And because there's a lot of people that do work hard, but when they get their teeth kicked in or someone tells them to fuck off, right? Or look at all their text messages that we share in the only real estate group worth being a part of, right? One, we share that in there. I'm going to tell you that it's also a little therapeutic when we're sharing that in there, because it's like, you know, you don't want to just hold all that in. I mean, this is greatness, by the way.
Yeah.
And, like, you want other people to know that, look, everyone else is an asshole, right? So we're not, you know, you're not the only one getting punched and being treated like shit.
Yeah, that's what's fun about sharing that stuff. Everybody goes through
Isn't
it.
that just life, though? We always learn when we share our dark, annoying stuff with other people. We're like, oh, wait, you mean in a planet of 7 billion people, I'm not the only one dealing with this?
Going through this.
A shocking revelation.
So it's the hard work, it's the grit, and it's trusting in the process. I mean, when you have a new agent joining her group and they don't trust the process.
Well, yeah. I mean, here's the thing, and this is for people looking to maybe start a team and stuff. It's the same as anything else. When you're a new agent, you have to learn certain things and grind through certain things. We will tell you, and Nick can tell you, as business owners, proving that value takes time too, right? It's tough. It's very easy for both of our teams to grow now, right? We're a little bit more selective with who we partner with now because we have a certain culture and certain standards. It was definitely not always that way. When you're starting a business, you're starting a team, you're starting over in real estate. I've said that a bunch of times, right? And so, like, when agents don't see that value, it could mean two things. Either they're not a culture fit or your value doesn't exist yet. And it could be a reflection on maybe some of the things that you need to build, some things you need to add to. It could be a good wake-up call for you. It could be a great feedback exercise for you. If you, as you continue to grind it out and you continue to grow and you continue to have a little bit of success, little bit by little bit, eventually that conversation does turn, right? And there are, nowadays, if you don't see the value in what we do, I kind of can't help you there.
I'm less concerned than I used to be.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Nate, first off, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, man.
I want to finish up with one question though, right? So we've heard about the good.
Yep.
Leave us with, like, what's been the frustrations in that first 12 months?
Ooh, I like that.
Ooh, tell us all the bad
that's a good
stuff about
question.
Nick.
I think after you get to a certain point, after you've busted your hump, you've done everything that you're supposed to do. I think the number one thing I can tell everybody honestly right now that I'm running into is, how do you leverage the time? How do you do things like that? And just because you're on a team, just because you've got that leverage, doesn't mean that you're still not going to run into issues. I think that's almost to be expected. The number one thing I'm running into right now is that I'm looking down and I'm saying, look, how do I leverage out this time? How do I balance everything? It's like the juggling act, and that's things that you turn to. If you've got a good team leader, you turn to them and you say, hey, look, this is what I'm running into. What do I do?
Yeah.
And that's the number one thing that I'm running into right now. And luckily, once you join the right team, you're able to turn to those people and say, hey, look, what do you recommend? And luckily, I've been able to encounter that. But that's the number one thing, is that you're going to get to a certain level that if you do the right things, if you do what you're supposed to do, you're going to run into that balancing act of, hey, how do I balance the current transactions I'm doing with the new clients, things like that. And they're going to be able to guide you in the right direction. So that's what I would say is the number one thing, is just once you get to a certain point, how are you going to be able to balance that act and be able to continue to move forward and grow your business?
It's one of the great things about problems. The more you solve them, another one is right behind it. Testing
I also
your
will
shit.
tell you, I know we're supposed to sign off here in a little bit, but fuck it, it's my office. I'm gonna give you some insight on this. This is one of the This is one of the places where people ask the wrong questions. Right? There's only so many things you can leverage in your business without you not being important anymore. Like if you're the talent, you got to do the talent person stuff, right? So if everything else is leveraged out, that's kind of a ceiling on your leverage. This is where most people run into issues, is they think the leverage needs to only exist in your business. And that's dumb as hell, right? The reality is we have so much else that we're doing in life that if we leverage that stuff, that's how we get our freedom back. Like, I'm going to put it to you this way. If you're doing 8 deals a month and you're still doing your own laundry, what the fuck are you doing with your life? And I know that sounds so bougie, and I don't mean it to sound that way, but it's true. Like we do need that balance and that freedom. A lot of it is where we need to start to look internally a little bit and be like, where else am I using my time?
Yeah.
And that's a very extreme example, but it's also true.
The
There's
VA can't do the laundry yet.
No.
VA,
But they can set the dry cleaner to
I
come
was
by
going
your
to
house.
say,
and pick it up.
well, I'm with him on this. I actually kind of think a VA can do it.
Dry cleaning socks and underwear now.
There you go.
So go to the only real estate group worth being a part of if you have not joined our Facebook group. By the way, you'll want to see some of those text messages that's being shared in there. You want to see some of the questions that's being shared in there. Go drop your own questions, right? And share with what's working with you, what the frustrations are. Maybe you're getting people sending you some random cool text messages that we would love to see that we haven't seen yet.
I think it's hilarious.
I mean, I thought I've seen everything. So
I love when
maybe
there's new
not.
ones.
I mean, our Boomtown number for a while was associated to an escort number.
Yeah, we hadn't talked about it in a
Yeah,
while.
we
That's
need to
pretty
rehash some of
funny.
these
Yeah,
old
so
stories.
we've seen a lot of it, by the way. So, and then go over to iTunes, subscribe, leave us a review.
5 stars, please.
Only 5 stars,
Or beat
right?
it.
Even with our little slip-ups, 5 stars.
We're doing
Right.
our best.
And let's thank our sponsor.
Sphere Rocket VA.
Justin Nelson. Getting
gonna-
buff.
Dude, he is
Taking
what
gangster
is going
pictures.
on, man?
So
He's
Justin's
lost
working
like
out.
1,000,000 pounds. He looks amazing.
Justin's working out twice a day,
No, it's like
right? His
VA can't do that for you.
VA is.
No.
Not yet.
I think the VA is helping him with the ordering his meal planning.
Telling you,
He
bro.
did hire a coach, so that's. I asked in the group today about if you've hired a coach, what has been the impact in your business? If you have not hired one, why not? Or right? So I wanted to see the responses. So go respond to that in the group, right? I was expecting that to have a little bit more engagement.
I was gonna let some other people get in there because I've got a coach. I've got 2 separate coaching stories that have been instrumental in my life. I'm gonna jump back on there this evening
Right.
and drop those in there.
And kind of piggybacking off what Brian said about the leverage. You don't just have to have leverage in your business, but you can have leverage in your personal life. You can have a personal life coach, right? So Justin hired someone to help him get healthy, right? And this person, obviously, it's been working because he does look amazing.
Yeah, the results are good, man.
Yeah. So Sphere Rocket VA is the new sponsor of the only real estate podcast worth listening to. Go connect with Justin Nelson if you're looking for leverage in your life, in your business. He doesn't just do real estate, right? He can help
man.
business owners. He can help you in your personal life. Maybe you want them to manage your bills. Coordinating and scheduling your kids' stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Connect with them. Those VAs, they work for like.
SphereRocketVA.com
Yep.
is the website. We'll make sure we get the banners and all the cool stuff that come up by next week. For
Absolutely. So thanks again for watching today, Matt.
Nate, thanks for joining us, man.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Sure. Oh, I got a piece so bad.
Jesse, take us out.
Hey, thank you for watching. We truly appreciate it, checking out another episode of the Only Real Estate Podcast worth listening to. If you're watching this on YouTube, please go ahead, hit that share button, hit that like button, and hit the subscribe button. Right? We're dropping more stuff on YouTube constantly. If you're on iTunes, leave us a review, please. We're really, really focused on building up those reviews so we can get more searchable content on there. And if you're on Facebook, like everyone else is, go over and search the only real estate group worth being a part of. You're going to want to go join that group. I'm telling you right now, there's so much gold in there. So go join, share us on YouTube, and leave us that iTunes review, please. Go do it right now. We'll see you on the next show.